Hello there. Hello, everyone. And uh, that is a watermelon. That is a shelf full of fruits. And this is Ronnie. And I like to talk about stuff that's happening in the raw vegan community. And I like to talk about health and things that are related to that on this channel. So thanks for continuing to watch or for finding this channel or whatever. And the topic that I want to talk about today is urine therapy, or urine fasting, or urine drinking, or whatever it's called. But I'm talking about people urinating and then collecting that and drinking it. And I suppose there is an idea, there's certain kind of philosophies that this is leading to something healthful in some way. And I've not really read the theory on it mostly, or some of the main books that have been written about it. But people seem to think that it causes a kind of a reaction in the body. There's a couple of ways that people tend to promote it. They say that it creates, or it makes the body kind of have a reaction, have a cleansing reaction or a detox reaction. And because, and I don't know if what they mean is that they're putting something into the body that's like a toxin, and therefore the body's having a detox reaction, or if they mean that urine itself has some kind of special property to it that makes the body cleanse itself more, or something like that. The other way of looking at it is that the urine provides information for the body. So, or something of that nature, like the urine contains within it something fundamentally, I don't know, some kind of data, some kind of energy, some kind of information about the body, that when you drink it in, that it can maybe tell you something about your health, or the state of your health, or your body, or whatever. So I think these are the kind of ideas. Urine itself, when we look at it in terms of chemically, firstly we've got to realise that everything in life, there's a time, if we go far enough back, where we were completely ignorant about everything, about how things were made up and how things were composed. And when we lived in a kind of state of nature, we didn't really need to know about chemistry and things like that, because we lived in a perfect environment for us, and everything was just surrounded us. The perfect temperature, the perfect food. We lived in, perfectly sized communities and so on, and whatever else. Or at least, maybe not perfect, but things that suited us. And we never really needed to investigate these things, but as we come into the modern world, it's been more important to work out how everything works, and it's kind of an obsession with human beings to find out how things work, and when we break things down, what they're made of, and so on. And so if we break down urine, what we find is most of it is water. So there's two reasons for that. One is that obviously we need to get rid of excess water, but also when we're removing things from the body, we need to do it in such a way that it doesn't cause harm to the body. So we'll dilute things. So it makes sense to dilute things in water so that we can remove them from the body in a substance that has been in a particular substance that's non-toxic, because it is so diluted in water. And essentially that's what urine is. I mean, it's not toxic in the in the in the amounts that come out of your body. And the components of urine, primarily water, but then in terms of the solid components, you've got urea, uric acid, creatinine, I think potassium, sodium, and other elements and things like that. So, I mean, the first three, urea, uric acid, creatinine, none of those are essential elements. And those, and urea in particular, urea makes up the majority of our urine. So we don't need to take in urea. It's not a required nutrient. It's not a required substance. Urea is basically a way to remove nitrogen, excess nitrogen from the body. We breathe in nitrogen. There's nitrogen in plants and things like that in our food. But when we're removing the nitrogen from our body, it comes out in urea. I'm not an expert about this stuff, but I've read a little bit about it. And that's mostly what urine is, water and urea. Urea can be used as a plant fertilizer. And it's because it contains nitrogen, and that's something that plants eat, and trees and whatever else. So urea is an effective fertilizer. So you can use your urine as a fertilizer. I'm interested to know if I was to say to some of the people that drank urine, if I was to say to them, would you like to drink plant fertilizer? I've got this fertilizer, would you like to drink it? I'd be surprised if they said yes. But that's potentially what they're drinking, is fertilizer for plants, urea. In the quantities that we're taking it in, that it appears in urine that it's non-toxic. You've also got uric acid, and you've got creatinine. Uric acid, as far as I'm aware, when uric acid builds up in the body, that is a problem as well. I think that leads to gout and stuff like that. So we really want to get the uric acid out of our body. Not a problem. I mean, if you ingest it, if you're drinking it in, it's just going to be broken down. Creatinine, I think, is to do with protein or the muscles and so on. I don't know exactly. And then you've got potassium, sodium, and other things, other elements. And those are obviously essential parts of our diet, but they're in every fruit, every vegetable, probably every food really. You've got potassium and sodium in them. So we don't require urine for any of our essential nutrients. Does it have anything harmful in it? Not in the quantities that people that are experimenting with it are drinking it in. But it really smells foul, you know. It smells really bad. Some of the people that I know that are doing that stuff seem to drink a lot of, well, the urine they drink is very clear, so it's very diluted in water. They're drinking a lot of water, and that's what makes it tolerable. But apparently it's not about the water. So if it's not the water that they're drinking urine for, because obviously if you're wanting to hydrate yourself, then pure water is going to be better than something diluted in water. So we're assuming that the water is not the reason that people are drinking urine. So they must be drinking the urine for something else in the urine. But when we look through the things that are in urine, we go, okay, we don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. And all of that's already in our food. So what is it in urine that why are you consuming it? What is in it that you need or that you cannot get from a much healthier, tastier source? It's not toxic, but it smells really foul. And obviously there's a reason that it doesn't smell good to us. It's not our preferred source of food or nutrients. And if you were to be dehydrated, it's not a good choice because you become more dehydrated if you drink urine. I mean, you really become more dehydrated if you drink almost anything apart from water. Maybe you can get, maybe fruit juice doesn't make you dehydrated. I'm not sure. Anyway, um, that's where, if I break that down, so that's the analytical scientific breakdown of, you know, of urine. And it just leads me to the question, what really is it that people are drinking it for? Because if you're getting a detox reaction from something, that's not good. That's not a good sign. When you eat food, it really shouldn't make, it should make almost no reaction. That's a sign of something good. That's a sign of something healthy. When I go and sit at tables and watch people eat at restaurants, they eat, and then like so many people, their face goes red. They get a handkerchief out. They're blowing their nose. They're coughing. They have to spit sometimes if if they're outside or whatever. Um, they're going, oh, they're getting heartburn. They're taking things for heartburn. Like, that's not what food should do. That's why I like the simple fruit diet, because it doesn't make those reactions. You don't want to stimulate your body to detox or stimulate it to cleanse or try and stimulate that. That's a sign that you've put a toxin in and the body has to act. And too many times people interpret that as that's a good thing, like, oh, I've made the body do something. Your body is always doing exactly what it needs to do for your health. It's the things that you're introducing to the body that are creating the problems and the conditions you're surrounding yourself in. So you want to be able to obviously put in the best thing, and when you eat fruit in a raw diet, you don't get these reactions. And people think that's a bit boring maybe, but health is kind of boring in some ways. Or the truth is sometimes boring. But I'm still confused about urine. One of the main books about urine fasting is, I think it's called Water of Life or something, and it's an old book. And what happened is the guy was sick. As far as I'm aware, the story goes, the guy was sick on his deathbed or whatever deathbed, and goes on a 40-day fast where he just drinks water and he drinks urine, and then he recovers. And that made him, for some reason, believe that it was the urine that helped him recover. And my question is, surely it was the fact that you'd gotten rid of all the food that was causing your illness. Surely that's the reason why you got well, not because you drank urine. So none of it makes sense to me. I think people attach all sorts of mystical, spiritual qualities to urine and things like that, and magical qualities, and none of that's ever been proven. And that's kind of the problem. And when you say things like, well, is there any science behind this? People go, oh, science, you can prove this, you can prove, like, people try and disprove science. And when you ask them about this stuff, there's definitely things that science hasn't proven yet that might be true, but it's trying to find a rationale, like, for why would drinking urine be good for you or better. That's my question. Why is it better than fruit juice or drinking fruit or drinking water? And if it's not better, then why do it? Because it's got an unpleasant kind of smell that goes along with it. If you were to drink, if you were to really be dehydrated, if you were to really take the water out of urine, or almost all of it out of it, it would be so foul that you wouldn't be able to even tolerate it. And that's what people are putting in their body when they're doing that. When you take the water out and you concentrate that stuff, it's so foul smelling. And if you've never smelled like really the urine of a really really dehydrated person, then you know, it's when you smell it, you think, how can people be even? And it's safe because of the amount of water you're putting in, right? So I don't advise anyone try this out. I actually don't think it's bad for you. I just don't advise it because I just think there's better alternatives, and you'd be better focusing on drinking the best water you can get and eating the best fruits you can get for your hydration purposes. So that's where I think that that's the direction I think you should head in for better health, is focusing on fruit as a mainstay of your diet. Focusing in terms of hydration on getting the best and purest water possible. And I don't think urine fits that quality. So that's all I really have to say. I'd love your feedback on that. If I've misinterpreted anything or I've got something wrong about urine therapy, please feel free to let me know below. There was a raw food festival in the UK where there was a guy speaking about urine therapy, and Lauren Lockman was telling me that he met the guy and he said this guy had like a pot belly and really bad breath, and he wasn't really he wasn't a great advocate for healthy living or healthy eating or whatever, but he believed in the urine thing. So I don't know. Please feel free to educate me on this. But if all you're going to say is like there's something mystical or if there's something real about it, then fine. You know, I'm into the mystical and the spiritual and so on. It's just that um, I've I've I kind of chase that or look into that in other ways. But when it comes to diet, I see too many people chasing mystical, magical things instead of like just eating a healthy diet, eating fruit and vegetables. So this is a rather long video, I guess. I hope that you've enjoyed some of it or got something out of it. And as I say, if you want to leave some comments below or tell me more about urine therapy or whatever, that's fine. It's not something I support, and and not something that I would really want to experiment with either. Um, and that's all I have to say on the matter. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then I've got like 500 other videos. If you want to wade through those and see if there's anything worthwhile, you can, or subscribe to this channel and share it with others if you think it was interesting, or if you think I'm wrong and you know someone that knows more, feel free to share it with them and they can maybe respond to it. So thank you for watching.